Hello everyone and welcome to day 6 of our challenge. Today we'll be talking about Arabic demonstratives. Demonstratives are words like this and that and these and those which are used to refer or to point to things. So in Arabic we have 5 of these. The first one is هذا, which it means this when you're referring to a masculine singular, and هذه, which also means this, but when you're referring to a feminine, and هذان, which means these two, masculine, and هاتان, which means also these two, but for feminine, and then هؤلاء, which means these plural, both mixed male or female. So let's take some examples. So for the question ما هذا, which means what is this, we can answer this by saying هذا كلب, this is a dog. And notice that the word dog is masculine here. And also we can say هذا مبنى, this is a building, and also building is masculine. But when we're referring to something that is feminine, something like a cat here, we say هذه qittah, this is a cat, and using هذه because it's feminine. Or هذه سيارة, this is a car, and it's also feminine. And we can have more examples, something like هذا كتاب, this is a book. And then we can notice that when we're using the difference between definite and indefinite, because when we say هذا كتاب, we're saying this is a book. But when we're saying هذا الكتاب, we're saying it means that this book. So هذا كتاب means this is a book, and هذا الكتاب means this book. Or we can say something like هذا كتاب مفيد, this is a useful book. Or we can say هذا الكتاب مفيد, and in this case it would be this book is useful. So we're talking about this book and we're saying it is useful. And we can say هذا الكتاب المفيد, so this is a whole phrase saying this useful book, and this can be like a subject of another sentence, like هذا الكتاب المفيد is something. And this is what we can see here, because we can say that هذا الكتاب المفيد قديم, so this useful book is old. So you see that you can start with a very simple two-word sentence, and then using this information about demonstratives, you can start to build more complex phrases and sentences. And same for the feminine. So we can have something like هذه حديقة, this is a garden. Or هذه الحديقة, this garden. You can say هذه حديقة جميلة, this is a beautiful garden. Or we can say هذه الحديقة جميلة, this garden is beautiful. Always pay attention to the structure and the order of words and what is indefinite and what is definite to see the structure that is shown here. And you can say something like هذه الحديقة الجميلة, this beautiful garden. We can also put this beautiful garden as the subject of a sentence, so we can say something like هذه الحديقة الجميلة قريبة, this beautiful garden is nearby. And we can also use the demonstratives to refer to people. So we can ask the question من هذا؟ من هذا? Who is this? So we can answer this by saying هذا أبي. هذا أبي. This is my father. Or هذا أخي. هذا أخي. This is my brother. Or هذا صديقي. هذا صديقي. This is my friend. Or هذا ابني. هذا ابني. This is my son. Or we can do it for females. So we can say من هذه? من هذه? Who is this? Let's say هذه أمي. هذه أمي. This is my mother. Or هذه أختي. هذه أختي. This is my sister. Or هذه صديقتي. هذه صديقتي. This is my friend. Or هذه ابنتي. هذه ابنتي. This is my daughter. And when we're talking about spouses, a man can say هذه زوجتي. هذه زوجتي. This is my wife. And a wife can say هذا زوجي. هذا زوجي. This is my husband. And when we're talking about duals, we can say هذان ولدان. هذان ولدان. These two are two boys. Or هذان الولدان, as we remember from a few slides ago, like when we say هذان الولدان, and الولدان here is definite, so it becomes these boys, these two boys. And then you can use it in a sentence so that it will be something like هذان الولدان كريمان. These two boys are generous. And you can do the same for girls or for females. You're saying like هاتان بنتان. These two are girls. Or هاتان البنتان. So these two girls. And then you can put it in a sentence. هاتان البنتان كريمتان. These two girls are generous. And you can also notice that هاتان can have a different formulation depending on which part of the sentence it is, if it is subject or if it is object. So if it is subject, saying like هاتان البنتان, these two girls تعملان, are working. So هاتان البنتان تعملان. And if they are in the object position, say قابلت هاتين البنتين. قابلت هاتين البنتين. I met these two girls. So now they're in object position, so we use هاتين, but in the subject position we use هاتان. And same for هذان, for the dual male. هذان الولدان يمشيان. هذان الولدان يمشيان. These two boys are walking. But we're in the object position. ساعدت هذين الولدين. I helped these two boys. ساعدت هذين الولدين. So moving on to the plurals, we can ask a question such as this. من هؤلاء? من هؤلاء? Who are these? And we can answer something like هؤلاء مدرسون. هؤلاء مدرسون. These are teachers. Or we can say هؤلاء المدرسون. So now it is a phrase showing that these teachers, and we can add it to something like these teachers are something. And in this case we can say هؤلاء المدرسون ممتازون. هؤلاء المدرسون ممتازون. These teachers are excellent. And also pay attention to what is definite and what's indefinite. And the same goes for female. And say هؤلاء مدرسات. هؤلاء مدرسات. These are teachers, female teachers. Or هؤلاء المدرسات. These female teachers. And we can say something like هؤلاء المدرسات ممتازات. هؤلاء المدرسات ممتازات. These female teachers are excellent. And notice that there are few other demonstratives, the same logic that we have in English for this, for pointing to something near, and that to something far. In Arabic, we also use هذا for something that is near, and ذلك for something that is far, and we use haadhihi for something that is near, and tilka for something far, and for the plural, we use أولئك for something that is far. Thank you so much, and see you next time.